Murderer Chris Watts and Making a Murderer subject Steven Avery are prison neighbors. Making a Murderer's killer Chris Watts and Steven Avery have the strangest connection. Two of the most well-known leads in Netflix true crime documentaries are just a street apart. Chris Watts, a murderer from the latest documentary American Murder, The Family Next Door, is actually imprisoned near Steven Avery from Making a Murderer. But who is Chris Watts? He admitted to strangling and choking his pregnant wife, Shannon Watts, and his two daughters, Bella and Celeste, in 2018. But his crimes happened in Colorado, nowhere near Avery's prison or his hometown, both of which are in Wisconsin. The Chris Watts murders made such headlines that this information has reached every prison. Before Chris could even set foot in a cell, all the inmates had already agreed on who could hit him first and when. Yes, you heard me right. Because in the prison where Chris could stay, there are only highly dangerous men who have no minor offenses in their files. No, almost all of them are serving life sentences for something they also stand up for. They admit they are murderers and know full well that they will never be released from prison. In their inmates' eyes, Chris Watts deserved nothing more than to be tortured and beaten from morning to night. And that's exactly what happened to Chris Watts. Not only once did the headline go around that he had been killed in prison, but that was not the case. He was just properly mauled by the other inmates and lay more than once in the prison intensive care unit. As a result, the state had to act and moved him far away, hoping his case wasn't as well known in Wisconsin. In addition, Wisconsin has a high-security wing with several individual cells. Chris Watts is now in such a cell, 23 hours a day. For an hour a day, he has something like a free pass, straight to the shower and to go a few laps. That's it. It's too dangerous for him or anyone else to let him roam the prison halls unsupervised, causing unrest, aggression, and strife without the inmate community. As a result, Chris Watts is costing the state more than a few $1 million. Because he is under 24-hour surveillance to protect himself from being sent back to the ECU. For some inmates, the whole day is all about how to get at him, how to poison his food or decorate it with razor blades. Guards are bribed, secret messages are exchanged, and everyone is waiting for an unattended moment. Steven Avery is different. He's in a normal prison. When you consider that he's not even guilty and the whole world knows that by now, it's still a travesty. Over there, the felon, and here, the man who is innocently in prison for a second time and is serving a life sentence. But we already know that the American justice system is not entirely clean. A man who kills his pregnant wife and his children, aged 3 and 4, gets a lesser sentence than an abuse victim who catches his rapist in the act abusing his 6-year-old sister and then shoots him dead, gets 1,800 years in prison. So, a lot more. We're talking about Christopher Bennett here, by the way. I've got some videos about him. Chris Watts has been in Dodge Correctional Institution, a Waupun prison in Wisconsin, since 2018, shortly after his conviction. Steven Avery, on the other hand, is across the street at Waupun Correctional Institution, a lower security prison that aims to rehabilitate inmates for return to civilian life, according to the prison's website. If you want to visit both, you can do it with a 1-minute walk. Insane. Incidentally, Chris Watts' prison also housed the murderer Ed Gein, known as the Butcher of Plainfield. Gein murdered people and stole their bodies. He even inspired the movie Psycho. But what's new at Steven Avery? Last year was an eventful year for him, with many developments. In private, he had to cope with the death of his mother Dolores, and he wasn't allowed to attend her funeral either. Although in the past there have already been enough officially confessed murderers who were briefly released for the funeral. On April the 13th, Kurt Filling said a delivery driver came forward and said he saw Bobby Dassey with an unidentified bearded man in his 50s or 60s driving a Toyota RAV4, the model Teresa drove, onto Avery's property in the early hours of November the 5th. This brought Steven Avery's nephew, Bobby Dassey, Brendan Dassey's brother, to the scene. Then Brad Dassey, Brendan's half-brother, claimed that his uncle Avery was innocent and that his stepmother, Bob Tadich, might have had something to do with the case. In 2019, Brad claimed Bob told him she hired someone to reformat the computer. Now Brad has told The Sun online that Steven is innocent and he believes his stepmother sacrificed Steven and Brendan for Scott and Bobby. Avery has always maintained his innocence and believes he was framed by the Manitowoc County Police Department after he sued them in 2003 for wrongful conviction for another crime. Avery remains in prison for the 2005 murder of Teresa Halbach. Personally, I also believe Brad, so Brandon's stepbrother, because I'm friends with Brad on Facebook and I see what he posts every day, and he's weirdly the only one of the Dassey family who isn't taking advantage of Brandon's fate. Everyone else either collects all the donations or posts reports about them or the others every day in order to be able to take part in paid interviews. Except for Brad, everyone in Steven's and Brandon's family benefits. That's my thoughts, that's what I saw, and I heard that Brad is making some podcasts about Brandon coming soon. If there is anything new, I will report it here. Brad is currently planning his own podcast to get his brother Brandon out of prison. He wants to publish everything he has experienced with the Dassey family. What do you think of everything? Write me in the comments, and thanks for listening.